Lab 3, Revolve and Loft. In this lab, we are going to play with two modeling techniques, Revolve and Loft. Okay, let's try the first one, Revolve. If you use Maya 2018 or the version before, you might need to change your menu set to Surface. To change your menu set, go to the left top corner, click on these pull-down menus, and choose Surface. Certainly, if you use version 2019 or 2020, you will have the same menu set like this one. You don't need to change to Surface because the command is already there. Okay, to use Revolve, first we need a curve. So we use a series curve tool to draw a curve. For this example, I will draw a profile of a glass. We only need to draw one side, okay, like this. And then the revolve command will help us to rotate this profile and form the model. When you draw the profile, if the start point and end point are aligned on the center vertical line, it will save you a bit time and effort. Because if the start point and end point are lie on the center vertical line, then the pivot point of the curve will also lie on this center vertical line. After you use the revolve commands, then the model will be like this. That is the shape we want. But if you didn't draw the profile aligned with the center vertical line, then you will find that the pivot point will have some distance between your profile. So after you use the revolve command, the model will be like this. That is not the shape we want. If you are in these situations, then you have to move the pivot point back to the profile. To move the pivot point, we can use the Move tool to select the curve and then press Insert key if you are using Windows to enter the pivot point editing mode. If you are using Mac machines, then you can press Home key, or for MacBook, you have to press Fn key with the left arrow key. Holding the Fn key and press the left arrow key to enter the pivot point editing mode. Once you enter the pivot point editing mode, then you can use the arrow to move the pivot point back to the profile. After editing the locations of the pivot point, remember to press Insert, Home, Fn with left arrow key to exit the pivot point editing mode. After adjusting the locations of the pivot point, make sure it is aligned with the start point and the end point. Then we can use the revolve command. Go to the menu. Under the surface menu, we will be able to find the revolve command. We can click the option box to open the revolve options. Let me expand the option we can set. The first setting is axis preset. This sets the rotation axis that the profile rotate along with. We can use x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, or set a custom axis by entering three numbers here. These three numbers is the vector of the rotation axis. Next, the setting is pivot point. If we choose object, that means it uses the object pivot point we have adjusted in the previous step. We can also choose preset and then enter three numbers here to define the location of the pivot point. After that, the setting is surface degree. This image describes the difference between the two options, linear and cubic. If we choose cubic, the outcome will be smoother. Otherwise, the outcome will be like this. Then, we can set the number of segments. The number of segments means the number of profiles it will create when the revolve command rotate to generate the models. Higher the numbers, more profiles will be generated. And we can also choose the output geometry. We have options including LURPs, polygons, subdivisions, or blister. I will explain this later in the lecture. Okay, let's try to create the models by using the revolve commands. First, we need to draw the profile of the glass. Here, I will choose to work in front view. Let me enlarge the front view by pressing spacebar when pointing the cursor within this front view. Then we go to Create, Curve Tools, choose CV Curve Tools, and then I can start drawing the profile of the glass by using these tools. Okay, let's draw the profile. Okay, when finished, press Enter key on your keyboard. Okay, so if you are not satisfied with the shape of the curve, you can right-click on the curve and then choose Curve Point, Control Vertex, or Edit Point to modify the shapes of the curve. Okay, for example, this time I choose Edit Point, and then I can use Move Tools to select the points I want to edit, and then move it. Okay, certainly I can adjust a bit here, here. Okay, down, I want it lower. When you finish, right-click on the curve again and choose Object Mode. Okay, so the curve is ready. I draw on the center vertical lines, so the pivot point is also on this line and is ready to use Revolve. Go to Menu, under the Surface, we can find Revolve. We can click on the option box and then adjust the settings. Alright, I didn't explain what is start swap angle and end swap angles. I leave it to you to let you try the difference in between different numbers. I just use the default settings and show you the result. Okay, press Revolve and you can see the models is created. Here you can see my model is in black color. Why is in black color? Because the surface is pointing inside. So here I tell you one more step. Okay, go to the menus and then here indeed we can use either of these two commands. The first one we can use is go to curves and then choose the last one, reverse directions. You can see now the model is in gray color, so the surface is pointing outside. Besides using the reverse directions under the curve menus, Indeed, under the surface menu, here we also have reverse directions at the bottom. This command also can help us to reverse the surface directions to the correct settings. So that is the part of the revolve command. Next, let's try the loft command. To use the loft command, we also need some curves. First, we also use CV curve tools to draw a curve, and then we use the duplicate command to duplicate one more curve. We will move this curve to another locations, and we will select the curves in the correct order. After you selecting the curves, we can use the loft command to generate a surface between the curves. Okay, let's try it out. Okay, here, this time I will use the side view to work in. And then I choose the CV curve tools again under create curve tools. This time I draw the curve like this. Okay, press enter. Okay, I have a curve here now. I use the move tools to move it to the right hand side a bit. And then use the duplicate command to duplicate one more curve. Move it to the left hand side. So you can see I have two curves now. Okay, select the curve. For example, I select the right hand side curve first, and then pressing Shift key to select the second curve. Okay, with selecting two curves, we can use the loft command under the surface menu to generate a surface in between these two curves. Alright, you can see it is in black color. So we can also use the reverse directions to change the surface directions. Certainly, why we have to choose the curve in correct order? Indeed, you can see I choose the right hand side first and then choose the left hand side. You can see the surface is pointing downward. Okay, let me undo it and try to select the curve in different orders. This time I choose the curve on the left hand side first and then choose the right hand side. I use the loft command again. You can see this time the surface is pointing upward. The sequence of selecting a curve will generate different results. So we have to select the curve in correct order. Why we duplicate the curve to generate this surface? Because both curves will have the same numbers of vertices and the same structure. Certainly, we can use different curves to generate the surface by using the loft command. But if you use two different curves with the number of vertices has a large difference, then the result might not be good. So if we are using two different curves, the number of vertices, the architecture of the curves should be similar. Then the result will be better. Also, we can use more than two curves to generate the surface. We can draw three, four, or more curves to generate the surface. We have to select the curves in correct order to let the software to generate the surface in a correct sequence for you. That is the end of the loft sections, and also that is the end of lab 3.